Okay. Let me start by saying, hey.
Hi.
I I wanted to. I miss podcasting with you.
Here we
I
go
did too.
now.
To be honest, I did
Yeah,
too.
that's it. Yeah, this is all the cards on the table immediately. I missed having an excuse to get on mic and chat with you over the internet with the knowledge that there are people who might listen to it later. And did and still and do.
You know, I'm shocked.
I'm really sorry. And I didn't want to stop just because we are seeing less COVID related restrictions. We're certainly not isolated. We've seen each other in person. People are seeing each other all over the place.
I mean, if anything, it's more reason to. We have more things to talk about.
Right. And there you go. I never thought of it that way. This is actually, logical.
I mean, I'm sure if you listen back to the last episode, it's like it was a challenge. Like, what are we talking about today? What are we doing? Like, nothing
Sure.
new. What's new with you? No, not much. Still at home.
Yeah. It was a bit of a drag. But now there's new things. So ostensibly, we're calling this Hi. How are you today?
Yeah.
Because why not? And I went on Canva and I made cover art.
I saw that.
And that's it. We're good to go.
I love it. I think it's great. I like the freckles for me too, and the spectacles and everything. I think it's a look I can aspire to.
I've got a little stripy toupee thing on there, but I mean, what am I going to do? It's what Canva gave me, so that's what I look like according to this. Here's the thing. I was thinking I'm not going to change I don't want to start a new podcast. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to do that. Like, well, it's like, oh, I'm going to go start a new. Who wants to do that? Now I got to go and rebuild the 11 people that listen to the ISOcast.
Hi, Mom.
Hey, I don't want. I'm just gonna. I think I can just put this into the feed and just change it. I don't know if that's you're allowed to do that, but I'm going to do that.
Let's do that.
Okay.
Why not? Why not?
So here's the first, I guess, those that were expecting this to be ISOcast because you subscribe to that, sorry. Feel free to unsubscribe. Those that are new and wonder why previous shows were different than this, sorry. But how this is going to roll, man. I don't know what to tell you.
It's like a new season of a show that goes in a different direction, you know?
Oh, yeah. Okay. With
You know the
same
shows
characters.
where like they kill the protagonist, but they continue on anyway? Or
Game of Thrones.
Uh-huh.
This is our Game of Thrones.
I like it.
There are two things that I picked up recently. I just noticed and I wanted to say something about. Number one, I became one of those suckers who daily drinks these athletic green juices.
Oh.
You know, you hear about them on all the podcasts and all the celebrities and all the people.
Mm-hmm.
You know, paying $100 a US a month to drink these.
All the YouTubers are talking about it.
I'm hooked, man.
Are you?
I love these things. This is my first meal today at 3 p.m. Yeah, I love these. I don't know.
Give me the elevator pitch. So what is it? Why should I do it?
It's a nutritional supplement, right? So for those that have maybe an incomplete diet, which is kind of everybody. But again, you know, I was talking to somebody about this the other day, and it wasn't like, do you really need all those things? I mean, we lived forever with all of that. Yeah. It's more about optimizing your health. It's like, it can't hurt to have this many things. And where I kind of got hooked on this was not all of the, boy, they do good marketing. It was that it's from New Zealand and it's like made in the US and the ingredients look kind of legit. And I'm doing a little bit kind of the digging and the sourcing and stuff. And I'm like, okay, this actually looks like it's legit green juice, you know, not like, this is powder that's just going to make your pee green and you're going to pay $100 a month.
Does it replace anything for you? So what I've seen in the past is people will do that, but I'm not stopping like drinking, you know, Coke or whatever, or I'm not replacing a meal every day. So it's just like an extra thing. Is it actually replacing something for you?
No, it's not a meal replacement shake.
Okay.
It's more, it's just a nice tasty green juice in the morning. So they recommend that you have it. This is not an ad. First thing, as your first kind of thing that you eat. And then wait like 10, 15 minutes before you eat something else so that your body can like fully absorb all of it. Now, I don't know if this is hooey, but I can say this. I and other people in this household have had their first drink of this and noticed two things immediately, and they've been sustained. Did not have any afternoon crash. Like sometimes, like mid-afternoon, you're like, oh man, haven't had it ever at all. And second, your appetite is like, whoa, way lower throughout the day.
Okay.
Again, in theory, you have nutrients in your body, and your body's going, we're pretty good here. Don't need a lot.
I like that. I'm like a shake guy in the morning, like I like that. Do a light exercise and then have a shake, and good for until mid-afternoon, really.
Yeah. Well, you're a workout guy now. You're a weightlifter.
I've become one.
Dude, bro, do you even lift?
It's like old school, right? I got my DVDs and I got my TV with that DVD thing that goes in there. And
holy hell.
Do it in the morning. And I mean, not every morning. I'm not that guy, but 4 times a week is what I shoot for. Usually pretty good at it. And and the other days I just do, walks and things like that. So yeah, it's working for me.
So are you doing like protein shakes, like getting some extra protein?
Like Vega in the water afterwards.
Yeah, me too.
And then some, this is not at all, but silk coconut.
Oh yeah,
milk that goes in it. Yeah,
nice. Okay, so you're getting your macros.
See, this is the thing. Like, I don't know anything about that. I know that exercising makes me feel good, and that's why I do it. I don't really care what I look like, although that's a tertiary benefit, I suppose. But it makes me feel good, energy throughout the rest of the day. That's interesting. Like, this is not rocket science. It's news to me, not to the world, obviously. But like when I do exercise later in the day, like I just don't feel tired. I feel like I have energy. Like there's a lot of these kind of benefits that I really like. Feel better about myself. And then that's really why I wanted to start doing it. Going back to the ISOcast, like not having a lot of interaction or just exercise. So it was a result of that. But I've just continued on because I love it.
You say now, because I was you 3 years ago when I started lifting.
Okay.
I'm like, okay, look, I have some back issues. I'm going to try and get better, la, 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 la. And it all worked out great. And you think, here's why I'm doing it. And those reasons never change, but you start stacking on top of those reasons. Believe me, there becomes a point where it's like I went from 2 times a week, because I can like reasonably do that, to definitely 3 times a week, non-negotiable. I'm the guy in the hotel. If it's my lift day, lifting at the hotel, like I got to do it. And then you start tracking your macros. Next thing, it's gonna happen because you're gonna start going, you know what? At my age, I should be concerned about my protein intake. And you start looking at that stuff, and it's a slippery slope to becoming the guy who's walking around with a shake.
Because it's the next thing. It's the next challenge, right? Like once Royal You becomes sufficiently good at something, you're like, well, okay, I'm good at this. So what's next? What else can I add to this? What else can I challenge myself with? Because I said the same thing to myself, like, oh, I'll just do it. I don't care about the results. But now, how many sets did I do today? What weight did I do last time? Like it's like golf, you play against yourself. Like,
you do.
Can I beat my score from last time? So I believe it.
And again, like you said, the consequences of this activity are fantastic across the board. Like everything improves. I have to say that now that I've kind of shifted into that, you might find, and we talked about this, actually goes all the way back to episode 1 when we talked about atomic habits. But you might find that as you continue to stack some of these routines and habits into your life, it naturally squeezes out a lot of other things that don't fit into that lifestyle. So funny enough, like the things that I like, oh, wouldn't it be nice if I drank less? I just don't drink pretty much at all anymore because I don't like the way I'm going to feel either at the gym, or I'm not going to rest well, or I'm not going to like my weight. just all of these things that because of I'm doing this stuff, I genuinely don't want to do that other stuff.
It's become non-negotiable for me. Like, this is what I do. Like, I work out in the mornings, and working from home, living at home, like, obviously makes it much easier. But I'm not a gym guy, never have been. Actually, on our trip that we just came back from, we both went to the gym in the resort. And that was the first time, I think, probably not ever, but really that I can remember that I actually went to an actual gym. Yeah. So this thing that I do at home with my DVDs, I just need someone to tell me what to do, and I do it, and it's nice. But I'm never like get up at 5:30 guy. Like, I'm not that guy.
No.
So I wake up at like 6:30, have a little wake up, start at 7, do like a 45-minute, shower, get on with my day kind of thing. But that's the same thing. Like, the night before, I go to, if I don't go to bed by 10, I'm not getting up. It's harder. It's harder to get up. And then I'm like, oh, I punish myself for that. So it's a real thing. Yeah.
Yeah. I started doing, well, I've always done the intermittent fasting, which is, it's really not fasting. It's just restricted eating schedules, but not to get into the minutia of it. I'm on this 16-8, right? So I feed for 8 hours a day and I fast for 16 hours, right? And ideally, I do it from noon till 8 p.m. I'll eat from noon to 8. That's a very easy feeding schedule for me. It works into my lifestyle, and I'm not hungry in the morning at all anymore. So it works out pretty good. And then I've got this new thing, though, speaking of how one thing just kind of rubs against the other, is I don't say to myself, oh boy, I'm actually hungry at 10 o'clock at night and I'll eat something. All that means is I don't get to eat again tomorrow until 2. And I'm still going to try and stop at 8, right? So when you really start to measure those consequences, it's like, okay, I'm totally going to have this salad or this big slice of ham at 10 o'clock at night. It's usually one of the two. More often the ham.
Slice of ham.
This is why I'm going to pay for it, And it's been working out pretty well.
I like it. I mean, it's just all consistency for me. That's the book, what James Clear talks about too. But like at first, I would work, or in my whole life, like I would be jogging for like a couple of weeks and then I would stop for like a few months. And then I never had consistency. And now finally I have a routine that works, that's doable, that's manageable for me. And everything else is more it's well-rounded, right? I wake up at the same time, even on weekends. Like I'll give myself an hour, probably sleep in like an hour longer, but no longer than that. And just keep my body in the same routine. I'm not yo-yoing around. Yeah. And it's automatic now.
It's so funny because a lot of the things that people want to do or invite me to do, I've just turned into a total yuck that are like, it's just a hard no. It's like, if you want to hang out and do some stuff or grab some lunch or grab a coffee or whatever, that's cool. But if you want to hit the bar or do some drinks or whatever, it's like, yeah, just no. It's not not for me.
I mean, even anything after 9 o'clock is a non-starter. Like even for us, like watching an hour-long Netflix, whatever it is, if it's 9 o'clock, we're both like, I don't know. I don't know. Not going to make it.
No, I thought maybe it's because I'm getting old at 47 and you like your routine and you want things to be a certain way. But it's funny. I'm in the best shape I've been in probably my life. I'm feeling better than I have in decades. I just like this sustainable, predictable level of meanness. Because before there was a lot of I don't know-ness that I was living. I don't know how I'm going to be tomorrow. We'll see. But now consistently, barring anything unusual, I have a pretty good idea where my energy level is going to be at, what's going to affect it, and when I'm going to be actually be able to show up for the things I need to do. And if it's like, hey, can you do this at this time? It's like, that's not going to work for me because I know me. That's not going to work for me at that time, or I'm not going to be able to do it.
Yep. I'm with you. I'm with you 100%. I mean, even for us, like we moved into this new neighborhood. It's really cool. It's nice. And we're exploring it like during the day. And people are like, oh, what bars have you? Like, no, we haven't actually. None. Yeah, and it's not like on purpose. It's just, we have a routine at night that just like, we don't, like, I go to bed. So.
Don't get me wrong. Like I've, in the thing, it's like, I do a lot less telephone things now, right? The less, I don't have the social media apps on my phone. Haven't for a long time. I don't do a lot of the stuff on my telephone. And it's not because I'm being that guy or I have to be some intentional tech Luddite, or it's more that, hey, I'm just starting to realize that I'm a lot happier this way. So I don't want it to come off the way we're talking, that it's like, hey, I have anything against anybody who's doing them, right?
No.
And when someone's like, hey, come on out for drinks and let's get ripped and let's get a good hang in, as the kids say. I'm like, dude, I'm with you right up like on the hang part, but everything else is just not going to work for me. If you want to go rent some kayaks on a Tuesday afternoon, I'll take work off and that'll be cool. That's just me now. I'm becoming that guy. Not the like, oh, you shouldn't be drinking, because I don't care. I drink. No. I used to drink a lot.
I still do. Yeah. Weekends though, I'll buy my 6-pack on the Friday after work and and away we go. You know.
Yep.
Because that works for me. I mean, that makes, like you said, that makes me happy. And I've really like gone back to like, oh, reading for 30 minutes a day really does something for me. That makes me happy. So I got my exercise. I bookend, no pun intended, bookend the day, right?
Yeah.
Exercise in the morning, and this one I'm still working on. I haven't quite developed into the atomic habit, but 30 minutes before bed or 30 minutes somewhere throughout the day of reading. And that's a habit that, I mean, I just love reading. When I get out of it, I find it difficult to get back into for some reason. Like it becomes more of a decision to like, am I going to read today? But when I'm in that, this is what I do for 30 minutes a day. I love reading, man. Like it's great.
I just finished a great book on boundaries. I was like, oh, I'm going to finish this book this weekend. And I chewed it down yesterday because I was intentional about it. And I really, really enjoy reading now that I found out that I needed glasses. Like when I got glasses, it was, wow, this is really fun. Because before, it turns out it was hard for me to see. I have to, though, like you said, make it kind of a thing I don't think about. You know, I was reading a ton more in the spring and the summer, and I couldn't figure out why I slowed down. It's because I was going downtown less. And I realized that I got into the habit that every time I got on the train and every time I got in the subway, instead of pulling out my phone, I pulled out a book. Every time I was sitting there waiting for something to happen, I would just pull my book out. And it was like I was chewing down a book a week. So now I've gotten back into that habit again where I'm catching myself on my phone. I'm like, so I took all the news apps off my phone. I'm like, okay, instead of looking at that, I put Kindle on my phone. It's like if I'm really just sitting there and I really got to do it, well, I'll just continue on with whatever I'm reading in Kindle. But it's becoming like it's more just like that it taps into what Atomic Habits had always taught. It's changing the type of person that you are, as opposed to changing just what you do.
Yes. Exactly. Stephen King, I think I remember him saying once about him, like he would just take a book. He'd always have a book on his person. Like he would be like waiting in line at the supermarket. He pulled out the book. Waiting in line for a museum. He has his book. He pulled it out. It's because he wanted to be a person who read. Like he wanted to, I mean, obviously one of the most prolific writers, one of my favorite authors, but a large part of becoming a good writer is being a good reader. And he would always just have a book with him. So anytime there was something that he was waiting for, he would just be reading. And I thought that was so simple, but I never thought about that. And that's what James Clear says, like make it accessible or make it easy. And for me now, I have to take my book. I don't take it everywhere with me, but I make a more conscious effort of having a book around when I know I'm going to be waiting for something.
What are you reading right now?
I'm reading a Stephen King book. I'm reading, I'm reading Misery.
Oh, nice. I've got a queue.
Great.
I've got a queue of, I don't know how big your queue is. Mine's probably always about 8 or 9 books deep.
Yeah.
But I gave myself permission because somebody gave me permission once. I don't know if you do this if you're not enjoying a book, to stop reading it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I didn't realize that you can do that. You can just put it down. I don't like this book. Like there's this completist part of me that's like, I got to finish the book because I started it. But
I used to be like that. Like, that's silly. Like life is too short. Like, no.
Life is too short. I read a great book this summer called 4,000 Weeks. Which is really, he's a recovered productivity guru who scheduled everything in his life and worried constantly about maximizing all of his time, including his vacation time. Mm-hmm. And then eventually was just kind of wait a minute, whoa, what am I doing, right? There's only 4,000 weeks in theory that I'm going to be alive. I should really just stop this stupid crap and enjoy it. And one of the things in the book I remember was just like, if you're reading a book and you're not enjoying it, stop reading it. pick up another book. We do this all the time with TV shows. Like we don't go, I'm going to finish this entire 8 season series of the show I don't like.
Right.
We just stop watching it. Right.
And for me, what would happen in that case, and it has happened, is I would put down the book because I don't like it. But then I would stop reading. Like I wouldn't pick up another one. But well, I haven't finished it.
Right.
And then I would just get out of my reading habits. Like that's silly. Like no, put it back on the shelf or sell it or get rid of it or whatever.
Yep.
And then pick up another one.
Yep. Or sometimes I'll go back to it. I'll give it another go because maybe I wasn't in that headspace at that time.
Yeah.
Right. I have a terrible habit of listening to a podcast called 10% Happier with Dan Harris. And it's really good. Really good. And it's one of those, like every other guest, I'm going to buy their book. Like I'm on a walk somewhere and I'm listening to his podcast and I pull out the Amazon app and I order the book. And I don't want to order on Amazon. I want to order otherwise, but I've had too many problems with too many other places charging me for books and they never arrive. So I end up at Amazon again. But point, I've just got this stack of books. It's like, oh, I'm going to read this. I'm going to read this.
You're mostly a nonfiction guy, right?
I am almost exclusively nonfiction. I have been reading your recommendation, Shadow of the Wind, for 2 years. And it's gorgeous and it's beautiful. It's well written and it tickles my imagination. But I'll tell you, I still haven't finished it.
Because you don't like it or because you're not ready for it? Or
I don't know if it's the genre or the writer or the subject. Because sometimes I think to myself, boy, I would read a Star Wars fiction book every day of the week, just for the fun of it. Or would I? I don't know.
We'll wait until you write one and then we'll find out.
That would be great. That would be great.
I go back and forth. I do like one fiction, one nonfiction. I go back and forth. With my fiction, though, like it's like that commitment thing. Like I have to know. Like that's why I love Stephen King because he has some ones that are like not great, but for the most part, he is. I mean, just I love his writing. It's page turners, and I love that it's deep. It's not just like clowns jumping out at you from the sewers. Although yes, but there's a psychological realness about the stories that he tells, and this among the clowns, there's this relatability, which it's magic for me. Like I don't know how he does it. He's amazing at it. So even in all of the unbelievable or non-believable things that he has in his stories, there's an element of realism there, which is like a wicked marriage. So those are the fiction books that I love.
I picked up recently. This is the one I just started. I'm going to reach and grab it so I get it right. Okay, because I'm trying to give myself permission to read for fun. Because something's lodged in my brain leads me to believe that you have to read for a purpose. And even though fun is a purpose, So I got The Creative Act, A Way of Being, the new book by Rick Rubin, the music producer.
Okay.
A music producer, legend guy. So this is like, okay, and I'm going to read a book that is just about being a creative person in the world. And I'm reading this because I know that I'm going to enjoy it, not because necessarily I'm going to get anything out of it. At least that's what I thought. But then I realized, am I just tricking myself into reading another book because I think that I should in order to get something out of it? I don't know.
Anything wrong with that?
There's nothing wrong with any of it. There's something wrong with me, but there's nothing wrong with anything that I'm doing. I guess my point is that I'm still trying to find that place where reading isn't a thing that I should do. It's a chore,
I like the imagination part of reading. And I think maybe this is why, like a lot of Stephen King movies, like Shawshank aside, are bad.
Yeah.
Because I think when you read his books, like your imagination just goes wherever, and it's part of how he tells the story. It allows you to dictate what you imagine. But in a movie, there's that visual. They're telling you this is what it looks like. And if it doesn't match what you thought, or I think there's an element to that where it's really hard to make a movie from his kind of stories. And so for me, reading is the imaginative part. With good writing, it allows me to take it where I want to take it and really think about it. And that's fun for me, even though I can be learning something, it can be for a purpose, but that allows me to like think and contemplate different things that I wouldn't have just by watching a movie, for example.
I used to work at a convenience store when I was like 16. And it was called Becker's, which became Wink, I think, became something else. I don't know. It, changed hands a lot until it all is eventually owned by the Couche-Tard Group. And at 16, there was no internet. There were no smartphones. There was none of that nonsense that we take for granted now. There was only, TV and paper things. So in my job at Becker's, I would work 8-hour shifts from 4 p.m. till midnight. And most of the time I was sitting there doing nothing, because that's what you do when you work at a convenience store. You just sit there and do nothing. And there was there was a rack, like one of those spinning racks of fiction books. And one of them was Jurassic Park. It was like, I don't know, it was like $4, $5. So I bought it. I'm like, I don't know, I'll read a book, I guess. I read that whole thing, except for the last page. For some reason, I never finished the book.
What?
And I loved it. Like, I just loved it. I got so like enthralled in the story and the idea and in chaos theory and dinosaurs and genetics and stuff. It was just amazing. Point being, I think that's one of the few books that I went and I saw the movie and it translated super well.
Okay.
It was like, wow, everything that I saw and imagined, because I mean, let's be real, they're dinosaurs on an island off Costa Rica. How wrong could you get that? But man, it was perfect. The movie was perfect when it in terms of how it wasn't one of those like, don't read the book first.
Right. And it's Spielberg too. So I mean, he doesn't get too much wrong.
No. And it was a good movie. It was a good movie and a great story and a good book. But I remember one thing now specifically about that particular movie that still irks me is that the opening scene, and we know this as people who live there, was 2 guys sitting on a beach in San Jose, Costa Rica. It's like, oh no. Hey.
It's funny, right? Like how many of those things would happen now, or do they? And we just, unless you know, you don't know kind of thing,
Right. Yeah. You'd never know. I mean, it's like, I guess you say so.
Right.
Half the people thought Costa Rica is an island.
Still do.
The other half are surprised that Montreal is an island. So what are you going to do?
That is, sometimes I forget as well.
Geography's hard.
How are you? How are you today? Is that what we're calling this? Is that?
Yeah, we're calling it hi. How are you today? That's where that's where he landed so far.
Okay.
It could change. It can always change.
So we're going to have a little crossover here from our previous, because I'm looking at a little COVID test right here. Have you, it's negative. Negative.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Because you just traveled.
We did.
Yep.
My partner's not so lucky.
Oh no.
Yeah. She's fine.
Oh, okay.
I mean, a little stuffed up and a little sneezing, but no worse for wear.
Okay.
But I'm shocked that according to the test, I mean, I feel great. I feel perfectly fine. I mean, we've been around each other for an entire week and plane, airport, around the house. And we're sitting next to each other watching movies and everything. I don't know what's going on, but I feel great. And I just wanted to do the test just to make sure, like maybe I have it and like no symptoms, but according to this, all clear. So I think you and your partner are the same. I don't know too many people who haven't had it yet. Do you?
I don't know if I've had it though. Right. So I don't know. Every time I've tested because I had to, I tested negative. Whether you trust those tests or not, it's another thing,
right?
Because especially the home tests, I mean, who knows? The ones that they did, like for example, when we were in Costa Rica and we had to fly back and we had to test, and they show up at your hotel room and they tested us there. I don't know. Did they really do the tests? I don't know.
We went to Mexico last year. We had to get a test. Well, we got something before we came back, but I feel like it was just, you pay $10 and away you go kind of thing.
There's been more than one occasion though that I have been really, really, really sick, and COVID was a logical explanation. The first time was pre-pandemic when I was visiting you in Toronto, right, and just got wiped out. Because for some reason I thought, oh, it turns out there's an outbreak here in Toronto, and I'll just roam around the subway for a bit because I was bored, and I did. And I came home, and boy, I thought I was going to die. Like I was Googling, do I go to the hospital if I have COVID? And then a couple times since then, travel related, got home like, wow. But to be fair, I've been sick following travel a lot, just in general. So, who knows?
Just around a lot of people and a lot of germs and a lot of everything. So,
well, I don't work with people, and we live pretty isolated here. So there's not been a circumstance where it's like, well, I better get tested to make sure that I'm not exposing other people, because I wasn't. So,
right.
So as far as I know, I don't know, maybe.
Yeah. It's interesting. I mean, you would think everyone's going to get it eventually just because how you have to. But for now, I mean, I'm saying about, who knows, I may have had it early. I don't remember ever being like sick, but I mean, I don't know. We'll see.
I think it's only accurate to say that you have yet to test positive.
I like that.
Yeah. But had it? Probably.
Yeah.
Because I boosted up. I got my fourth. I lived. Nobody.
Same. I got whatever
I didn't randomly fall over and die.
So. Bio variant or whatever it's called, like the new booster or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe that's it. I don't know. Who knows? But I'm not gonna wander around for a couple of days until we sort this out. She's got a cold. It's basically what a bad.
I hope she feels better.
Yeah. We're gonna do some Instacart this week, and
like the old days.
Like the old days.
Oh, you're gonna isolate. Oh, that's so nice. So she gets a couple involuntary days off.
Yeah.
What is the isolation period these days, I wonder?
I have no idea. It's a good question.
Nobody's even tracking this stuff anymore.
No, I think it's just honor code or whatever. Like, I don't know. I could make something up, but I honestly have no idea.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay.
I would think until you test negative, but I don't know if that follows, like, are you contagious past? Don't know. No idea. Someone knows, I'm sure.
I was hoping, I was thinking the other day, do you remember how there were conversations about the Great Reset? Like how this was going to kind of give us a chance to fix all the ills of the world and be more introspective and somehow, in some way, change our human ways. And we really didn't at all.
No.
I don't think we learned sweet dick all out of this whole thing.
Well, there's a question for the 12 people who might listen to this.
Yep.
Have you changed? What changes? You're a reader now. I'm a lifter.
True.
What changes have you made?
Yeah. How about towards your fellow man? I think a lot of us, some of us, at least the white collars of us, have found ways to improve our lives and develop hybrid work schedules and spend more time with our families and work on ourselves. And so good for us. But I haven't done anything for humanity.
No.
Like at all.
No. God, no.
I'm less of a giver somehow. I think I give less.
We're watching, there's a really a YouTube channel that we like with this couple that kind of travels the world and goes to like exotic places and this kind of channel, right? And we just watched one yesterday where they're like way in the north of Norway somewhere, like the northernest settlement on Earth, apparently. It's like 2,000 people. And there, apparently, there's a doomsday thing.
Oh, with the seeds?
With the seeds and everything from all over the world for plants just in case X, Y, Z, Yeah. And it really makes you think like, huh.
It does.
If there's a reset, I mean, they're ready for the reset. That's the reset. All the seeds and everything up there.
Isn't there some, well, there always is. Isn't there some conspiracy theory that there's a collective of very influential rich people who've been preparing for the sort of doomsday, maybe even egging it on in hopes to eliminate 90% of the people on Earth and then start again from Argentina or something like that? Isn't there something like that? Like,
I don't know. I've heard of individuals
Yeah.
who have talked about such things, but I
Right.
don't know if I've seen the collective. No, I don't know.
Okay. I mean, look, I'm going to say it again. I do think there are too many people. I got to be honest. I think there's too many people. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I've nothing against people.
No.
And I don't fault people for existing, but I think there's too many of us. I'm not saying we need to, wipe them out. It's more like, gosh, it doesn't seem sustainable. Not only our resources, but I was watching our illustrious politicians negotiate the future of our health in this country.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say something here. This is maybe a little controversial. Okay. So I want to be clear. I have nothing against people immigrating to another country. One, I have nothing at all against anyone who's from another country at all. I wonder, in our country, as with others, do we have infrastructure to support an influx of more people, right? So if we take 500,000 people and put them into the healthcare system, and we can barely manage the number of people in Canada now, how are we actually going to deal with that? It's not a money issue. There needs to actually be more doctors and more hospitals and things. Mm-hmm. During the housing crisis, right? People are having a hell of a time finding a place to buy, a place to rent that they can afford. There's just this huge shortage of housing. And as we put more people into the system without, exponentially increasing the amount of housing, how is this going to actually work? So my question is, if I had one, is are any of our politicians talking about kind of that, like on that level? It's like, how are we going to add a couple million people to the population without providing the social services and the housing and all of the necessary infrastructure to support that increase of people? And I think immigration is, on the whole, fantastic, especially with an aging population, especially with the needs in the job market, especially with a lot of things. But at the same time, it's like, gosh, I can't see a doctor and my rent is unbelievable.
Mm-hmm. No argument from that. I mean, that's a numbers thing. That's true. I mean, the only thing is so simple. I can hear the emails coming in now.
Yeah.
Whoever smarter than us would probably have a number that would say, how many family doctors or how many types of doctors are required per capita, which then leads me to think maybe this is too simple, but for however many people immigrate to said country, X number of those should be doctors and X number of those should be nurses, and then they have a job, right? And then away you go,
Like I know there's conversations around in certain territories to say, hey, look, you were a doctor in whichever country you originate from. It shouldn't be that hard for you to also be a doctor here.
Right. That's the problem.
Because but unfortunately, you're not. If you want to be a doctor here, you got to start from zero.
Yeah.
Right. You got to go to college and you got to go to med school and
that's the problem. Figure that out, and I think we have something.
And look, I mean, we jokingly talk about our Uber driver who was a doctor, but it's not a joke. No. Like there are Uber drivers who was like, I was a surgeon. So,
yeah,
but I want my kids to have a better life. And so I live here, or my country is, a complete disaster. So I can't live there anymore. I'm now like at this place where it's like, well, it doesn't make sense without having the conversation of, I get this a lot. I hear this expression in the United States. It'll all come out in the wash.
Mm.
Right. So if we just bring a lot of people, everything will just kind of work itself out. But I don't think that's the case.
No, not with that. Not when you're not a law doesn't allow people to practice what they do. Like, I'm not saying just come on in and let's have surgery like right out of the airport. But like there must be
or at the airport,
as Shark Tank people would say, like there's got to be a better way. Like
right?
there's got to be a middle ground. Like there's got to be something to validate credentials, or just have people prove what they can do or can't do, or what their expertise is or isn't, or whatever, without going through what medical school in Canada is like, what, 6 years or something crazy. Like
Sure. Like I've expatriated. I don't know. I don't yet understand the difference between expatriation and immigration, but let's suppose there's one. So I expatriated to Costa Rica, and I would love nothing more than to have been able to have a Canadian doctor. That would be cool. Like imagine that, Canadian doctor moves to Costa Rica, and he or she or they decide, I want to be a doctor in Costa Rica. And there's maybe a year's worth of work and testing and things that you have to do in order to get licensed as a physician in that territory. And I can open my practice, and I'm a Canadian, I'm a doctor, and I see all the Canadians.
Like,
doesn't that sound nice?
Can't you? I mean, again, I'm probably an idiot. Like, why can't you just have apprenticeships where you do apprenticeships with more senior, quote unquote, qualified doctors within, let's say, Canada in this context, and you do that for, pick a number, I don't know, a year and a half, which you would get paid to do, maybe not at the same rate or whatever, but then after that apprenticeship is over, you write a test, or your supervisor says something, and you're good to go.
Sure.
Something where you can do the practice, you're supervised, just to make sure, whatever, and away you go.
And how about having them like do their internships through triage? So creating a more elaborate triage system to ensure that just a bunch of people aren't sitting around and emerge because they got the sniffles. Mm-hmm. And those doctors are using that as part of their interns' hours.
And you do the same thing for nurses and everything else, and dentists and whatever else we need more of. And I mean, maybe we're not smart enough to understand. I mean, that seems like
we're 100% not smart enough to understand this. I know that. Yeah, it's there. I can tell you this. I know, for example, within a particular community in Montreal, all of those people who immigrated to Montreal see this doctor because he is of their community. He is of their ethnicity. He speaks their language. They love it. They go to his clinic, period. But he went through all of the necessary steps to become a licensed physician here in Canada. And if those steps were somewhat expedited or truncated or changed into a way that it's like, we don't need you to start from zero. We can just recognize the skills that you have and open the practice. I just feel like, boy, that's going to take a lot of burden off the system. I really do.
And everyone benefits, because what's the one thing? I mean, Canadian healthcare is wonderful, but what's the one thing that people like? If it's not life-threatening, you have to wait for like a while, right, to get what you want, and that's not going to drastically change, but it could improve. Like, what's wrong with improving something?
Let me tell you this. Anybody, I think, who's maybe a practicing physician or licensed therapist or something of their skill set in a particular country might be more incentivized to move to Canada because they have transferable skills that they can almost immediately hit the ground running in this nation, right? Mm-hmm. So for that might be one of the reasons I can imagine. And not to mention, these are high-paid, tax-paying, productive members of our economy and society. So it seems really, really smart to me to start bringing in teachers and doctors and therapists and engineers. And maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I'm just the wide-eyed optimist.
Maybe.
It doesn't seem like it's a budgetary issue, though.
Can't be. I mean, I don't know. It's proportional. Like, if it's tax funded, then it's based on how many people pay taxes, which is, in theory, most people. So you bring in new people, they also pay taxes. So like, it would seem to not increase, or it would stay the same. So it seems like that would be a good plan.
I remember during the height of the pandemic where there was a lot of conversations about hospital beds and the lack thereof and ICUs and ventilators, etc. And I heard it well put. It's like, we can build a bunch of hospitals. We just don't have staff for them. So it's like, we can pull a China and build 20 super hospitals in a month. Doesn't mean that we can just manufacture doctors as well.
Exactly. Well, at least here in Ontario, like the most common thing with like family doctors or whatever is that you see the sign like not accepting new patients. You know, you see that basically everywhere in every clinic, and because they're at capacity. They just don't have, in Ontario at least, not enough family doctors, or not enough people want to be family doctors for a variety of reasons. Like they don't get paid as much and all that kind of stuff. But it's a number. You're right. It's a staffing issue. It's a numbers issue. So there's got to be a better way.
There has to be. It doesn't seem, maybe, again, I don't know the intimate details of it. All I see is whatever the news presents to me, which is, who knows what that is. But it seems like it's write bigger checks. Here you go.
Yeah.
I know you guys want a bigger check than this bigger check, but go figure it out. And in the end, because they'll be fine. They've got great healthcare. They've got fantastic healthcare.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm sure that Doug Ford has no problem seeing a doctor.
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
And he looks like he needs to see a doctor a lot. Like he really does.
It's tough genetics in that family, I think. Yeah.
We're not all blessed. Well, I don't know. Was this it? Is this what we do?
I guess so. It's Super Bowl today.
Yeah, you got to go watch that Super Bowl. I got to go to the gym. Today's my lift day.
Oh.
Yeah.
What are we lifting?
I'm always doing dumbbells. I'm like super into dumbbells. And I don't, but today's Sunday, so I'm going to probably do cable and chin up, pull up, that kind of stuff. Ooh. So I'm going to be doing a lot more pulling than today's my pull day. Today's my pull day.
That's why I need somebody to tell me what to do. I have this routine and it's just really good. It maximizes the at-home experience. So I have some dumbbells, but everything else is just, body weight, push-ups, lunges, squats. I have a pull-up bar as well.
Oh, nice.
That I'm still working on because it's hard. I'm not quite there yet.
Oh, dude, yeah, I know. I think I can only do, on a good day, I can do 6 chin-ups, like 6 pull-ups. But if I'm doing hammer pull-ups, I can do 6 or 7. So I'm waiting until I can get about 8 or 9 of them consistently for 3 sets before I start doing the weighted pull-ups, where you put the belt around your waist and then you hang like a weight from it. Like looks pretty dorky, but man, it's pretty cool.
Working up to it, because like watching on YouTube and whatever, like you do the dead hang and whatever for like a minute, because it's all about building up the muscle, just like anything else. Look at me talk like I know what I'm talking about, but you work your way up and like use a chair at first, chair assisted, then non-chair assisted, all that kind of stuff. So
I know.
Working through it.
Yeah, I'm just probably I love my goblet squats and I love it. I love it all. It's great. I just put on Tool and I hit the gym. Mm-hmm. The end.
That's a good workout band.
Or Pussifer is really good. Or a Perfect Circle. Anything with Maynard, basically. That's kind of where I'm at. Unless it's a day like today. Today's a cable day, so maybe like the Chili Peppers or something. I don't know.
There you go.
See.
They have some new stuff, I hear.
They do. Good new record just came out.
Okay.
Yeah. And the guitar player, John Frusciante, just put out his solo record, which is nothing like the Chili Peppers. Mm-hmm. It's just a modular synth thing, which is totally spacey and very cool.
Nice.
Very cool. I've been listening to that religiously.
I'll check that out.
Sometimes I like non-music, like things that are just a sound for 45 minutes. Like...
Just give me some sounds.
Just give me some sounds. All right, man. This is where it's going. Let's see. All right. Do we have a sign off?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't. I'm good today.
Yeah, me too.
Okay.
Conversations.